Hey, what's up everybody? This is Kalen from White Glove Models, and today we are going to get started on pack 1 of the Ghostbusters Ecto-1 by Eaglemoss. This will be issues 1 and 2 that came in the last pack. Let's go ahead and get started. So for stage 1, we have the hood itself, and you've got the hood vents here, a sticker, and then this is part of the trim for the hood, a screwdriver, some screws, and the license plate. So I'm going to go ahead and get this out of here and open this up. Yeah, I almost forgot the sticker was actually on the box. So here everything is. It looks like we have a little screwdriver. We'll see how much we use that. And you've got the license plate. Some screws. So these are BM and AM screws. I'll show you what we're going to be doing with those here in a minute. And then we have the hood vents. These appear to be plastic. And then you have part of the hood trim. Another piece of the hood trim right there. And last but not least, we have the hood. Oh, that's heavy. I just want to double check, make sure that I don't leave anything in the box. And I can go ahead and get rid of this. So we're going to go ahead and flip this over. I'm not going to worry too much about protecting it by wearing gloves at this time, because it's going to be handled quite a bit from the looks of it in the near future. Looking at that, there's a few things on the... we're definitely going to have to take a look at some of these pieces and maybe clean them up a little bit. Other than that, everything looks really good. So this is cool. I can't wait to see the whole car when it is finished. So what it wants us to do first is install the hood vents. First, I'm going to show you what I'm doing to kind of keep everything organized. I have a, let me set this over here. So I actually have a fishing box, and I have one of these for all of my builds, and we're going to be organizing the screws in these little guys. So let me pull out the BM and AM. I pre-made these just because I knew what was going to be in each one. And we'll go ahead and close this up. This is just a easier way of keeping track of everything, because we are going to be getting a lot of screws with all of these kits. So the BM I'll place into here. Make sure there's no more in the bag, and I can go ahead and throw that away. And I'll set that off to the side. And we have AM screws. And the reason I'm using the towel, by the way, is just to protect everything, because the mat can sometimes have, you know, residual paint or other things on it, and you don't want to damage your fresh paint on there. You know, it's looking like we might have to repaint part of the hood here because there is a very slight blemish right here. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, you can. Right there. But that's okay. And then there's a little part of the assembly here and maybe a small scratch right there. So I don't know. We'll explore options. Might end up repainting it, might not. So anyway, there you go. There's the hood. And let's go ahead and start assembling it. So you have two different vents. They can only go on a certain way. So this one goes here. So if you take a look at these, there are the little nubs there that will go into place on the hood itself right here. So this one would pop right into place right there. And then you've got this one, which will pop into place right here. So go ahead and grab your screwdriver. And I'm going to be using my screwdrivers. I have these Wera PHO and PHOO screwdrivers. The PHO probably will get used the most in these builds, and these are magnetized, which definitely helps. And you're going to want to use AM screws. And I have a little bit of 3-in-1 oil that I use when I'm installing into metal. So put that right there. I already have a screw loaded up. I'm going to go ahead and dip it in the oil. And get this started. The oil definitely helps. If you still have trouble getting it in, what you can do is kind of start it and then back it out a little bit. I don't want to over tighten anything quite yet. So I'll put in my 4 screws and then I will make sure they're relatively snug, and then I'll go back and tighten them down. So there's number 2. Load up another screw. Sorry for the aircraft going overhead if you guys can hear that. I live in Northern California, and by northern I mean up by the very tip of California, and we have a lot of fires going on right now, so the aircraft are doing their job putting out fires. So there's number 3. Dip that in oil. And number 4. So now that I have all 4 in, I'm going to go ahead and get them a little snug. We are going to be taking these out because I'm going to be replacing them with different panels that I'm going to be getting from Mike Lane Mods, possibly, or I might just make them myself. So let's go ahead and put the screws into the other vent here. And there you've got both of them installed just like that. Holes don't really stick out the back. I wasn't sure if they were going to or not. Not sure why, but we lost the overhead camera. I'm going to go ahead and place this over here. We don't need that anymore for this stage. And then you're going to be assembling the hood trim. So we want this just like that. And then these kind of just go in just like that. I'll show you on this camera. You have the two pieces, and then that just goes right into there. And then we will be screwing those in with BM screws. Looks like we're done with the AM. And since it is going into metal, we will be using a little touch of oil. So before I put that together, I'm going to use a toothpick here and apply just a little bit of oil inside of these holes here where the screws will be going. Then we will reassemble this. My screwdriver doesn't seem to like these screws very well. I don't know if it's because they're losing their magnetism or if it's something else. Go ahead and so a lot of times what you can do here, if you start to feel any resistance, you kind of tighten it a little bit and then you can back it back out and then go back in. And there, like there, I'm feeling some resistance, so I'm going to back it out and then just start screwing it back in. Put in number 2. You could also use tweezers, but it just seems just as easy using my fingers. Can't find a magnet, otherwise I would re-magnetize my screwdriver, and I'm not sure where all the magnets went, so I will take a look for one later and re-magnetize them. I'm actually going to move up to a PH1 screwdriver. That one's really magnetized. Wow. Let's go ahead and dip that in oil. So we've got one extra. It looks like one extra of both the BM and the AM screws. Dip that one in oil and send it home. That's screw number 4. So I'm going to go ahead and tighten that. Make sure all 4 of these screws are good and tight. And that's it for stage 1. You'll end up with a trim piece for the hood right there. And the hood itself, a license plate, a sticker, 1 extra BM screw, and 1 extra AM screw, and a screwdriver, which I will just throw into my little tool bin over there. And that's it. So let's go ahead and get started on stage 2. Okay, so here we have stage 2 of pack 1, and it's mostly looks like the grille assembly and some of the headlights. So let's go ahead and get started on those. And let's see, I'll just go ahead and leave all the pieces in here. Hopefully you can see them there. And I'll bring them out as we need them. First part that we're going to need is a chunk of grille right here. That's a beautiful, beautiful grille. I like the looks of that. Okay, so then it wants us to take the front grille strip, and with these holes facing up and this section facing down, we're going to install it into here. And then installing those with AP screws. There will be 3 of them. Good, and I'm not going to put that in super tight just yet. Go ahead and put in number 2. Don't go super tight just yet. And number 3. And you can go ahead and tighten these up. Don't want to go too tight because you could strip it out. Just until you feel it snug. And there's that. Then we have the corner sections of the front bumper. And they are labeled. Left, there's a little L there. I'm not sure if you can see that. There's a little L there, and then there's a R for the right hand side. So the right hand side would be this side here. I have a feeling that I am going to be re-chroming this. I've got a few issues with the chrome here, but that's neither here nor there. That's just personal opinion. So they want us to install AP screws on these. So we're going to be putting 2 in the back, and just remember, don't tighten it up all the way just yet. There goes another helicopter working on the fires that are nearby. Yesterday it was super, super smoky here. I mean, you could barely see 10 feet outside your door. It was so smoky. That's typical of summertime here in Northern California. Go ahead and tighten this up just a little bit. And then the last screw is going to go in this little tiny hole right there. So far, these are the smallest screws that we have used on this build. So I'm going to go ahead and tighten this one down all the way. You can already kind of see just the size that this car is going to be once it is completed. There's the first one. Okay. And maybe not. Okay, there we go. I'm not going to tighten that all the way just yet. And then we've got number 2. And then the third one on top again. Made that look too easy. And this one I'll go ahead and snug it up. And do the same with these in the back. And that's that. And there you go. So far, that is what we have done. The grills and strips are installed. Okay, I'm going to turn this around right here. And I'm going to need my tweezers for this. I'm going to get the parts that we need. Oh, wow. Some little tiny, tiny pieces. I wonder if these light up. I have a feeling that they don't, but they might. So what it wants us to do is we take this section here and trying to see if they're labeled. Oh yes, left and right. Okay. So this would be the right and that would be the left. Remember, it's backwards because when you're in the vehicle, I'm assuming that's my way of assuming is right and left is when you're sitting in the vehicle. So I'm going to assume that that's how they have this laid out. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the anti-collision light bulb and drop it in there. And then this cap goes on the top just like so. It's pushed to fit. Doesn't really need any glue or anything. You can choose to glue it on. Might be an option to do later after we re-chrome all this. But you got to do that 2 times. So we have another one here. And I will drop that into place. And then on this side, just send her home. And then those are going to be held into place with BP screws. So this little white portion will be facing the front, and you will drop that into place. These are not lit. I bet there's got to be a way to light those up. We might find a way for you guys. Because that would be kind of a cool feature to have the little strobes that were on the very front bumper to be flashing. So I'm just going to barely screw that in, and then I'm going to grab another BP screw, and we'll come over to the other side here. So we'll go ahead and drop that into place. And tighten that down. And then go back and tighten down the other side. Then we install the left-hand side. Just kind of get it started, then grab another screw, another BP screw. These are fun to put in, I'm telling you. You guys haven't seen it, but I've dropped them like almost every single time. Even though my screwdriver is magnetized, it's not liking these little tiny screws, but we'll fix that. There, go ahead and tighten this one up. And come back over here and snug this one up all the way. Next we get to work on a couple of headlights. So we're going to go ahead and set this off to the side and bring out our parts for that. There are a lot of different pieces to this, so it's a little confusing. I keep having to go back to the reference manual. I think I get it now. So basically going to build it in a couple of different phases. Looks like this one's next. And they are labeled. Check that out. So this says right. I don't know if you can actually see it there. Right. And this little doodad is labeled as well, the headlight bezel, just there. So here you have all of the pieces for the left-hand side of the light, of the headlight. So you have the headlight rim right here. You have the headlight gasket right here. Then you have the lens kit, which is right here. And then you have the reflector, which is right here. And then this part right here is the headlight, the left headlight base. So what you're going to do is pick up the rim. You're going to take the gasket and insert it into these little nubs right there. push it down. Then you will take the lens or lenses, do the same thing. And next we'll take the reflectors and put them on. And then you get to secure all of that to the actual light itself. And it should just pop in there. Make sure that everything looks good and everything looks flush. And then we've got a few screws to put in. The first one they want you to put in is the CP screw, which is the longest one. And the kit comes with a few of these. So that's a super long one. And that'll just kind of tie everything together. And screw that one down. And to be honest, I don't really know why we need all the other screws that we're going to be putting in, but we will put them in just because it tells us to. And those are AP screws, so you're going to need 2 of those, and they just go into this section here and this section right here. And number 2. And then we're going to repeat the process for the right side. So make sure all these are tight. There you go. There you have one completed. So we're going to go ahead and pull out all our pieces for the right hand side. And put that together. Okay, and now we have 2 completed headlamp assemblies, which we will now be putting onto the grille and bumper. So again, you have your right hand side, which is the right hand side. There's actually an R on the bumper and an L for left on the bumper as well. So they did mark those for you. You just now saw that. So that's good that they did that. And so I'm going to go ahead and put the right on the right hand side. It'll line up with these holes here. Turn it over. And we are going to be using some BM screws. So BM, since it ends in an M, we will be adding a little bit of oil to that. Maybe. Just to get them started. Just need one. Put in number 2. Just get it started. And then I'll go ahead and tighten those down with my PHO screwdriver. And we'll do the same thing on the left hand side. That one in there. And we'll go ahead and tighten these down. Not tightening it down all the way just yet. I want to make sure that they find their threads. Now we can go ahead and back that out a little bit and then screw it back down until I'm happy with it, right about there. Okay. And there you have the front bumper assembly, and then we've got a couple more pieces here. Guess we'll have to put it upside down. It doesn't want to stay the other way. So I actually wondered why I had a couple of pieces left over, and that is because we didn't install them before we installed the headlights, but that's okay. We'll go ahead and install them now. And they are labeled left and right. And they just go, so this is the right hand side, which will go over here. They just kind of go right into this section right there. So I think the easiest way to do this, and we will be installing those with BP screws, will be to get the screw started through the hole. On the top one here. And it's really hard to tell how they want these oriented. It looks like it goes this way. Okay, so then you just screw this one in just like this. Don't tighten it all the way just yet, because you do want to get the other side in. And that one will go in through the bottom right there. And just line it up and screw it down. And then just a little snug there, don't want to over tighten it. Then we'll do the same thing with the other side. So again, starting from the top and then want to find that hole right there. And I'll screw that down, not making it too tight, just snug enough. Grab another screw. And these are the BP screws again, and that will go into the bottom there. Line that up and screw it down just till you feel it go a little snug. And then go back up and finish tightening up the top. Same thing, don't want to over tighten. There you go. That was everything for stage 2, the headlights and grills. And then let's bring over what we did in stage 1. You've got the hood right there with a little piece of trim. And that is everything to do in this pack. Thanks again for watching. If you liked what you saw, hit the like button. If you haven't already, please subscribe. And thanks so much for joining me. See you next time.